So hey guys, welcome back to part 2 of me reviewing this video that's very bizarre so far. We've had some controversial stuff, I think only because they've made it controversial. We've had some pretty non-controversial stuff so far, but anyway, if you've not seen the first video, I will leave a link up in the description to watch the first video, but we're going to carry on looking through these controversial subjects according to Dan USA. Okay, so we're talking about now when we should have cylinders O2 cleaned. So again, the guy here is, we like to err on the side of caution. Again, not surprising, is it, when we think about who's doing the talk. Okay guys, so that's interesting. So they're talking about O2 cleaning the cylinder, O2 cleaning the valve, which is the same thing for those of us over here, and O2 cleaning the first stage. He's got this graph up now, and it's on about burning rates, and it looks, from sort of air up to 40%. It's like a gradual curve, and then it shoots up at 40%, and then curves off again, which is interesting because I'm not quite sure what the burning rate has got to do with anything, because burning assumes that it's already lit, okay, and it's on fire, and I don't remember. In fact, I'm pretty sure I've never tried lighting one of my cylinders at all, ever, to be honest with you. I'm curious to see where he's going with this. Okay, so what we're looking at now is a graph where we're saying, right, you increase the oxygen percentage and you increase the pressure, and unsurprisingly, as you increase the pressure and you increase the oxygen rate, the burning rate, so I'm assuming the gets obviously more aggressive. Any school kid knows that if you supply more oxygen, fires burn more. It's why we blow on a fire. When you're lighting a fire and you blow it, it gets more vigorous and more intense when you blow. Why is that? Why is that? Because you're blowing more oxygen at it. Okay, there's more oxygen available in the immediate area because you're blowing it into it. So obviously, if you've got a cylinder that's at 200 bar blowing into it, it's going to burn quite a lot, isn't it? Worse, if you increase the level of oxygen in that cylinder and blow that onto a fire, obviously that's going to burn even hotter. My question at this point is, where did the fire start? Who lit a dive cylinder? When we start talking about, doing partial pressure blended and putting neat O2 in, neat O2 will almost spontaneously combust with things, okay? And that's the risk, and that's why we in the UK have our cylinders tested. Not once you've diluted it down to, 36%, 28%, whatever mix you have in it. It's that neat oxygen going into it, and that's why we're careful. What we're talking about, what he seems to be talking about here is you've already got something on fire and then you're introducing more to it. I don't get it. But anyway, we'll give him the benefit of the doubt and carry on. So yeah, we're still talking about burn rates. It's like, oh look, 40% burns so much faster. I get it, yeah. But the idea is not to set fire to anything, guys, okay? I don't understand why we're talking about burn rates. We're not burning anything. Okay, I can't get my head around this. So this guy seems fixated on burn rate. I don't know. Why are we focusing on burn rate? Neat oxygen over 40% has a higher risk of spontaneously combusting. Below 40%, the risk is vastly less. It's not about the fire that's already going, it's on about the causing the fire. That's why we have O2 clean cylinders, because in the UK where we partial blend, it has neat O2 going into it. If that gets too hot in the presence of fuel, it will go bang. But a 25% mix does not go bang when it hits your second stage or your first stage or your cylinder, okay? So it doesn't matter how fast it burns, what its burn rate is. The idea is to not set bloody fire to it in the first place, and we seem to, Dan seems to be assuming that we've already got a fire. So I don't know where this guy's going with this. No, they have science to back up that it burns faster, that any 5-year-old child who's ever lit a fire can tell you. That's why science is it. I'm sorry. physically lit fire. We don't physically light fires. We don't light fires and then dump nitrox onto it, because I can tell you that'd be a stupid thing to do. So I don't understand. Like what are you guys doing over in the US when you're diving? What are you doing? Have you got a Bunsen burner in front of your cylinder? This is insane. I don't understand this at all. So Dan's position is that anything over 25% is oxygen enriched. Yes, it is, because anything over 21% is oxygen enriched, if you ask me. But like 25, that's fine. He still doesn't explain why you need to have your cylinders O2 cleaned. Having your cylinders O2 cleaned is to stop that point of ignition, to stop the hydrocarbons reacting with the neat or very high percentage oxygen and spontaneously combusting. Once it's lit, it's irrelevant. Yeah, I don't understand this at all. This is gibberish. Okay, this is gibberish. And to be honest with you, okay, let's think about it. Okay, he says they get the science and they do this and then they put some practical applications to it. Okay, the practical applications are that we do thousands and thousands of dives every week, go on using nitrox. We have hundreds of thousands of dives over a year in the UK with people using mixes over 25%, and we do not have dive boats coming back in balls of flame and people roasting themselves all the time. In fact, I've never heard of it with a mix. I've heard of people having oxygen fires with neat oxygen. Oh yes, and I've seen some of the results, and they are not pretty. But with a mix of 25%, no, not at all. This is over knee-jerky reacting based on a burn rate, which, like I say, the idea is not to set things on fire. So I don't know, is this controversial? I think they're making it controversial by coming up with these stupid rules that clearly, in a practical sense, make no sense. Absolutely no sense whatsoever. So yeah, I just can't agree with it. Here in the UK, if you're having nitrox, we do partial pressure blending. You're going to have neat O2 put in your cylinder. It needs to be clean. Once it's been diluted down to whatever mix that you're going to have, then it is done. You don't need your regulators, O2 clean or anything like that, unless it's a stage reg and you're using above 40%, in which case your first stage needs to be O2 clean. So you're talking technical divers, you're talking rebreather divers, they're the only ones that need to have this done. And this 25% is like, this guy's getting paid by the testing agencies. He must be, because that is just, it's crazy. Anyway, if you disagree, if you think they're right, you think I'm wrong, leave some comments down below, because this is bizarre, absolutely bizarre, and I'd love to get your views on it. Do you know what? I'm not surprised it gets people upset, because yeah, I'm sorry, I just can't agree with that. And the 10 years in diving, the only oxygen fires I've seen are from people using neat O2, and they've all been rebreathers because they use neat O2 all the time, so they're exposing themselves to that risk all the time. So, sorry, don't agree. Simple as that. Controversial. I think they've made it controversial by introducing stupid rules, but yeah, that's my take on it. Anyway, let's move on to the next subject.
They come to me after training and they say, hey, what's the difference between the SMB and the
He gets this question quite a lot of students after they've done the training. It's weird, because in the training we teach them what a DSMB and an SMB is. So yeah, that's interesting. It's just a off the cuff thing. Yeah, weird, isn't it? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
SMB obviously is a pressurization valve, allows the diver to deploy the DSMB from depth.
Okay, that's a bit weird. The overpressurization valve does not allow the diver to deploy it from depth. There's various ways to fill a DSMB, from the hole, from the side. I mean, this one on the left-hand side, if that's supposed to be a comparison, also looks like a DSMB. Perhaps it's not, perhaps it hasn't got the overpressure valve. It is a Dan branded ones, but, it's got a quick fill adapter on it, what they call an easy fill adapter over here in the UK. So that looks like a DSMB. The overpressure valve could be on the other side. The overpressure valve just makes sure that, if you fill it up well and you're at depth, it doesn't pop on the way to the surface. But that's not what he's just said. He said the overpressure valve allows the diver to fill it. No, it doesn't. That's where gas comes out of. So anyway, let's listen. Of poorly trained students, one would suggest that they get questions like that all the time. So yeah, so nothing controversial there. Is there a difference between an SMB and the ASMB? Yes, exactly as I said at the beginning of part 1. A DSMB is designed to be launched from under the surface, and SMB isn't. Not controversial at all. So that being the case, I'll have a little listen, seeing what else they're talking about, but if not, we're going to skip on to the next subject. Okay, so again, nothing super controversial here. Okay, so you're certified when you get the course, you get the certificate or the card. Certainly in BSAC, once you have done that, let's run through a little scenario. Okay, so you've done your pool sessions, and then we take you to Cape and Ray. You do your open water dives there. We take you down to the sump. You get your 20 meters. Everybody claps. Great, woohoo! Yeah, you're done and dusted. As far as I'm concerned, you are then certified and qualified to dive down to 20 meters. But what it does not entitle you to do is go running off into the sea, because there is that sort of limitation. Certainly on BSAC, and I guess these guys are following the PADI model, which is probably the same, but you're only competent to dive in situations that you've already dived before. So you can go to Cape and Ray all day long, but your first dive in the sea needs to be with an instructor, and that's just sort of common sense, because it's so vastly different. You've got currents, you've got tides, you've got more snag hazards, you've got wildlife that you don't want injuring you, all that kind of stuff. So you want somebody there who's to guide you through that kind of stuff. So for me personally, that's not the difference between certified and qualified. That's a difference between certified / qualified and experienced. So yeah, I get what he's saying. I just think the semantics are a little bit wrong on this one. Yeah, that's it, guys. The rest of the video is just answering some questions. Because I say this was a live stream that come through, so they're answering some questions. And again, feel free to go and watch the video yourself. There's some interesting bits. So, overall, what do I think of it? Some of it, like I say, wasn't really a surprise. These guys are the safety people from Dan, which is an insurance company, so it is always going to be risk averse. Some things were just not controversial, the DSMB one. Realistically, the qualifications, qualified versus certified, that was a semantics question. However, some of it I just really don't agree with at all. Should you be testing every cylinder even when it can only possibly be with air? No, that's ridiculous. With the testing of your cylinder at if you're going to have more than 25% oxygen in it, like I said, kind of in the UK, it's a no-brainer because we always do partial pressure. So even if you were, most of you will, most of you guys that are using nitrox and just doing recreational diving will never have a mix more than 40%. So you might say, well, actually, why do I have to have my cylinder O2 cleaned if I'm only diving with, less than 40%, which is, what Andy says is the flashpoint. The reason is because when we're mixing that up, we're putting neat oxygen in the first place, and neat oxygen will virtually spontaneously combust if it comes into any fuel, and any slight heat, and even putting the gas in is enough to generate enough heat that if there's a fuel source there as well, it will go up. And that is why it's really important to have your stuff O2 cleaned. So if you're only diving ever 36%, you need to have your regs O2 cleaned? Absolutely not, no, because it's never going to touch a percentage over 40%. Like I say, unless you start technical diving and you start diving with deco mixes of more than 40%, in which case, yes, your first stage does need to be O2 cleaned. I think a lot of the differences we've had here are the differences between us being over in Europe or in the UK and those guys in the US. The US standards on a lot of these things are a bit more slapdash than what we get over here in the UK, to be honest with you. So it doesn't surprise me that some things they have to be more stringent with, because there's a bit slack on the other one, like the air quality. We have a lot lower acceptable percentage of, oils and hydrocarbons in the air for it to be clean air ready to nitrox mix than those guys do. I don't normally do these kind of videos. It's not, I don't like criticizing other people's videos, but I just thought this was interesting. I'm not having a personal stab at any of these people. This is the organization Dan, which is a fantastic organization. If you're going abroad from the UK and you're diving abroad, then you definitely want to get yourself some Dan insurance to make sure that you're covered should anything happen to you. But anyway, as always, guys, that's me. I've got a few videos coming up in the next few weeks, so please do hit that subscribe button. If you found this video in any way, shape or form entertaining, or maybe even educational just a little bit, please do hit that like button. It does help me out a great deal, and it does help the channel and helps me carry on creating videos like this and the other kind of videos that I put out. But as always, I will catch you on the next one.